What's going on? This your boy Marcus, representing Channel 6 Media, representing the Channel 6 Podcast. Not gonna hold y'all long. Just wanted to speak real quick about one of my favorite wrestlers, Eddie Guerrero. Today is Thursday, November 13th. This marks 20 years since his passing. He passed away 20 years ago from a heart attack. Of course, he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. That's not to be denied. Like I said, it's gonna be a real quick video. I got a big project coming soon with a lot of people about Eddie Guerrero. So this is, like I say, just a quick video concerning my thoughts about 20th anniversary. About where a lot of people his fandom is at, where the wrestling business is at so far. A lot of stuff like that. Like I say, this video might be maybe 10-15 minutes at the most. Okay, he passed away 2005. And WWE really tightened up on their drug testing policies after that. Didn't stop people from passing away. Of course, 2 years later, his best friend, Chris Benoit, passed away. Didn't pass away. It was a murder suicide. We all know the details of that. I got a video coming about that coming soon. I'm not gonna get into details about that because, like I say, got a video coming soon about that. Something changed when Eddie Guerrero passed away. Not sure exactly, but something changed a whole lot. Bear with me a second. Just got a text message. But something changed. I'm not sure exactly what, but something broke. I don't know if it was within fandom, wrestling itself, but the way I watch wrestling and consume it, and the way a lot of people watch it, it just isn't the same. And then, like I say, following Benoit's death right after it really, really changed. But like I say, following his death, it was a lot of tributes. Of course, Rey Mysterio was booked to win the Royal Rumble that following January, won the World Heavyweight Championship in a triple threat match at Mania that following March against Randy Orton and Kurt Angle. Did all that. He has a lot of proteges, admirers in the business right now. Of course, we know Sasha Banks. She's currently in AEW wrestling as Mercedes Moné. She pays a lot of tributes with her move set, with her gear. A lot of her gear is Eddie Guerrero inspired. She says Eddie Guerrero is one of her favorite wrestlers. You have Funky Weapon Taguchi in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He looks like Eddie Guerrero. A lot of his gear is inspired by Eddie Guerrero. He does the lie, cheat, steal gimmick. Like, he'll lay down like he got hit with the chair and throw the chair in his opponent's hand. And play like he got hit. He does all of that. But when you actually see him, he looks kind of like a younger version of Eddie Guerrero. But he draws a lot of inspiration from Eddie. Then, of course, his godson, Dominic Mysterio. Of course, we know Dominic Mysterio was part of that ladder match with Rey Mysterio. Part of that storyline where Dominic was a little kid in that SummerSlam match. Of course, we know it was a storyline. and he adopts a lot of Eddie's move sets, the frog splash. He does the lie cheat steal gimmick. So he has a lot of people who adopts a lot of his moves in the business right now. Um, his hometown in El Paso, Texas, is doing a whole Eddie Guerrero tribute day in that town 2 day. Like I say, it's about 11:30 midnight at my time of recording. So later on in the day or the afternoon in Texas, they'll be doing the celebrations in that city. Eddie Guerrero has children in the business right now. One training currently at the WWE Performance Center. He had another daughter that wrestled and was a manager in NXT about 10 years ago, and I think she's kind of sort of in and out of the business right now. Chavo Guerrero, he's been in and out of the business. He's also a stunt coordinator in Hollywood. We all know he was Eddie's tag team partner for a long time in WWE and often known in WCW. You know, he was an ECW champion and a cruiserweight champion in WWE. Um, but he recently signed back as a producer, but I don't think he's going to be there full time. So like I say, he does have a lot of Hollywood commitments, but you can go on the internet right now and there's tributes every day, not just on the day he passed, not just on the anniversary of his passing. There's tributes every day for Eddie Guerrero. People talk about him every day. People put Eddie Guerrero in top tens in video tributes. There's merch out there. It ain't a lot of cool wrestling gear to wear. A lot of that shit will have you looking square as fuck if you put that shit on and wear that shit in public. You will be scaring the hoes, scaring the bitches if you wear a lot of that shit. But there's this one particular shirt that Eddie Guerrero had. It was inspired by Grand Theft Auto, either Grand Theft Auto Vice City or Grand Theft Auto San Andreas video game cover. And that's one of the few wrestling shirts that was worth a damn. If you wore it out in public, it wouldn't look like a wrestling shirt. I wish WWE would re-release that shirt. Trying to remember the first time me personally seen Eddie Guerrero. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say I seen his Tiger Mask appearances live in New Japan and none of that. First time I seen Eddie Guerrero was in ECW when he had the red, white, and blue trunks tights. When he had matches against like I think yeah, he had a match against Dean Malenko. I want to say 100% sure. Yeah, and people of that nature. He was kind of sort of in and out because, and then at the same time, ECW was hard to find at that time because you had to stay up late to watch it on like Turner Sports South, Fox Sports South, and that's like 2 o'clock in the morning on a Friday, 3 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. Sometimes it didn't come on. Sometimes, let's say if a Braves game running late, you're gonna miss it. So yeah, you see it when you see it. So I did see Eddie Guerrero a couple times on there. Really saw him a whole lot in WCW. That's when we really the mainstream really got to know him, and that's when we got to see his personality come through. A lot of the you got to see hints of the lie, cheat, and steal gimmick come through, especially when he got with the filthy animals. Well, a little bit before that, when he started turning heel, and he was manipulating his nephew Chavo, not his brother, his nephew. That's doing that type of stuff. He was, healing up on all the other luchadors, uh, pulling scams on them to make them take their mask off and that type of stuff. But and then the mainly that the filthy animals stables when you got to really start to see the version of Eddie Guerrero that we saw when he got to WWE. And that first night when we had that mass exodus when Guerrero, Benoit, Malenko, and Saturn all left to join WWF on the same night, and they debuted on Raw, and they jumped the guardrail, and Eddie Guerrero did the frog splash. I want to say he actually got injured. I want to say doing that frog splash, got sidelined for a little bit. Um, they were the it. I'm not. Yeah, Eddie Guerrero was part of the 50 Animals, but Benoit and Saturn was part of that new revolution in WCW. When all four of them got together in WWF, they were called the Radicals, and that's how they got off and running when they got to WWF. So we all know they had the radical things going. They had this thing going with China. He had some wellness violations, had to leave for a little while. He was out the company for a little while. He was actually in the first couple of Ring of Honor shows. So he had to leave, sober up for a little while. Then he was back in the company and which is crazy. That run on his way back into the company until his passing, that window, when you think about it, is only about 3 years, 2002 to about the end of 2005, and he got a lot done in that 3 years. He won tag team titles with Chavo. He won United States Championship. I'm not exactly sure who he beat. Like I say, we got a whole project coming soon to talk about all that. But I know he did have a long United States title feud with John Cena. That was one of John Cena's first big feuds. Um, didn't have an Intercontinental Championship that I can remember, because if he did, he had it on his first run. Um, so yeah, he did a lot in that 3 year window. Um, he won a WWE Championship, beat Kurt Angle for it, and like I say, after he lost the WWE Championship to JBL, he still had a lot of good matches and a lot of good feuds. Like he had his good storyline with Batista. He still had a good storyline with JBL going on through. Of course, he had the good storyline with Rey Mysterio. He was cooking up something at the time of his passing with the debut of Mr. Kennedy. Who knows where that was going? It was supposedly at the time of his passing, he was slated to go against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 22. Supposedly that was going to be the match. We'll never know, but that's what the match was supposed to be. And you know that would have been a banger. That they would have put it on the show. They would have tore it down. So we can only fantasy book. That's just something now we'll only be able to see in video games. You look at it now. It's a lot of fantasy, a lot of fantasy matches on paper that we'll never get. Eddie versus AJ, Eddie versus people like Pentagon Jr., Eddie versus Ricochet, Eddie versus Andrade. Man, picture Eddie Guerrero as a Raw GM or NXT authority figure. That type of stuff. Just the possibilities. But like I say, I ain't want to stay long. I just had this on my mind. 20 years came quick, and this is for wrestling fans as a whole. This is a hard day. Like this is like pretty much when when Tupac's death anniversary comes in hip hop for hip hop fans. This hits just as hard as wrestling. Like it's on that same level because this was a beloved figure. He had his demons, of course he did. No man is perfect, but he acknowledged his demons and took accountability for them and was fighting through them. And that's what made him even more beloved. Wrote a book about the demons he was fighting, did a documentary about it, and shout out to everybody else who's thinking about him on this day. And that's gonna be the end of my video. Like I said, we got other projects coming soon. We got a big long form Eddie Guerrero video coming soon. We got a long form Chris Benoit video coming soon. We have a Allen Iverson project coming soon, and look out for a long form video on Barry Sanders coming soon. All right. That concludes this video. Like I said, I was going to keep y'all long. Channel 6 signing off.